This is the Pursuit of Wellness podcast, and I'm your host, Mari Llewellyn. What is up, guys? Welcome back to a solo episode. This is like a personal update, Q&A, all the things. I feel like you guys love these episodes, which makes me happy. We can kind of get more personal, dive into current updates and things like that, instead of being so wellnessy all the time. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk wellness too, but it's just fun to connect with you guys and update you. My weekend was pretty fun. On Saturday here in Austin, it was F1, and I actually got the opportunity to attend with Aston Martin, which was insane. Aston Martin is a supercar out of the UK, James Bond vibes, very well-known car brand. And when they emailed me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a cool opportunity. Why me? But it was really, really fun. I went with Sammy, Andrew, and my husband, Greg, and there were some really cool attendees. I got to see Nara Smith, who I'm such a big fan of, and Lucky Blue Smith and their baby. We saw Gordon Ramsay. We saw the whole cast of Selling Sunset. There was like some big names here in Austin this past weekend. There was also a big game, a football game that I know nothing about, but it was a big deal. And yeah, we started off at Commodore Perry Estate, which is a really cool hotel restaurant out here. Had breakfast and then spent the whole day at F1. We got to go into the Aston Martin garage, see them in the middle of the race, changing tires, like the whole thing. And it was really, really cool. And then on Sunday, I went and rode my horse Red here in Austin for the first time. He arrived, my friend Michelle, whose Instagram handle is Broke Ass Horse Girl. You guys may know her. She has really been like taking me under her wing and introducing me to the Western world. And she actually trailered my horse Red down to Austin for me. If you missed the update, I've done a couple horse updates on him, but he is the horse I drove to Fort Worth to try the other weekend, and he ended up just being a perfect angel of a horse, like the perfect horse for me. So safe. When I first got on him, didn't move an inch. Like mounting a horse, if you are a horse girl, you know, the way they behave at the mounting block is like kind of a thing. And my old horse, bless him, love him to death, but like he was not good at the mounting block. He'd like walk away and wouldn't stand still, to the point where I needed someone to help me get on. And the fact that I can get on this horse by myself and he doesn't move an inch, I'm like, this is amazing. He was so good in the arena. I felt really comfortable in his canter / lope. We went on trail. We saw cows, other horses, frogs jumping, and he did not blink an eye. Like, I felt so safe on this horse, and I'm so happy to have him here in Austin. It's so exciting. So I went and rode him Sunday with my friend Michelle. We did trails, we did arena. I gave him a deep spa day, shampoo, condition, braided his hair. He is really happy at this new barn, and I'm so happy. I'm going to go ride him again today. I just want to go every single day and just see him, because I'm over the moon. So yeah, really busy week last week, really busy weekend. And now we're back to work. Really exciting meetings this week, big recordings, all the things going on. And I just feel really blessed right now. I feel like I have some really cool things happening in my life. And we have a fertility thing happening this week that I don't want to go on too much detail about, because then people are going to be like asking me nonstop, but very exciting. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. I've been doing all my supplements and really on my fertility game, but not obsessing about it. Like, I feel pretty relaxed. So I'm just praying that this might work. I took an ovulation test this morning and it was flashing positive, which is great. So everything's looking good. I hope you guys are doing well. I want to hop into this Q&A and see what you guys are asking me. It's funny, I don't usually have honey on my toast. I had sourdough eggs with the toast this morning. I don't know what I just said. Whoa. But I put honey on the toast, and I'm just noticing that I don't feel as good right now. Like, I don't do very well with pure sugar in the morning. Like, I just feel brain foggy right now. So yeah, just something I've noticed about myself. Like, I feel it when I have sugar. You know what I mean? Let's see what questions you guys asked. I'm going to start from the bottom here. I recently posted my full skincare routine with Clear Stem. They have been such an essential for me as someone who's very acne prone, but I'm also 30 and starting to think about my aging skin and what I can do to prevent that. Clear Stem is the first skincare line that combines all three categories: anti-acne, anti-aging, and clean, which means free of hormone disruptors and pore clogging fillers. I feel like so many skincare brands market themselves as quote unquote clean, but that doesn't actually mean anything. What you really want to look for if you have sensitive skin is that non-pore clogging ingredient list, which Danielle and Kaylee, the founders of Clear Stem, have really nailed. They've both experienced acne themselves, so they know what they're doing in terms of formulation. And I feel like I can really trust the products they're putting out there. Plus, they also have an acne lab test on their website, which is helping thousands of people get to the root cause of their acne through comprehensive lab testing and lifestyle-based recommendations. I think this is such a fantastic feature because at the core of it, acne is coming from something internal. I know I couldn't get rid of my acne until I did full lab testing. So I highly recommend you guys check out the lab testing on their website. Visit clearstemskincare.com and use code POW at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Again, that's code POW for 20% off your first purchase on clearstemskincare.com. I am preparing my house for Thanksgiving. We're hosting 10 people, Greg's family, our friend Leo's family, and I'm trying to make sure the kitchen looks extra cute. And I found this brand called Geometry. It offers a variety of kitchen, bath, beach, and active towels, all of which are made from post-consumer recycled materials. Through their thoughtful design and collaboration process, Geometry is committed to supporting artists and creatives worldwide while delivering the highest level of household performance. Their towels provide superior functionality, bringing art into the home in a way that's both simplifies and enhances everyday life. Their products are super absorbent, quick drying, and long lasting. It means they're not just sustainably created, but engineered to help their customers be more eco-friendly by using them. They honestly look so cute in the kitchen, also make great pool towels, and just spread around the house. They look so cheery and colorful. Visit www.geometry.house and use code POW at checkout for 15% off your purchase. That's GEOMETRYHOUSE and use code POW for 15% off your first order. Okay, someone said, do I use a specific ghee? I use the Fourth and Heart original ghee butter every single day on my toast, in the pan, has a really high smoke point, tastes like butter. I think it's amazing. Do you ever have seasons where you feel unmotivated and unfocused? How do you cope? Such a good question. I really do like to think of life as this like seasons concept. I listened to a podcast with Chris Williamson, and he was talking about how we can't be on our A game all the time. Like we're not built that way. Like maybe the fall season, we're really on it, but the winter season, we sort of retreat a little bit, refocus, and then come back strong in January. So it's funny you say this. I feel like I've been feeling a bit unmotivated lately in the gym a little bit, just not as aggressively driven as I used to feel. And I do feel like to a certain extent, my LA season burnt me out to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to recalibrate. And don't get me wrong, I am someone who's always going to show up at work, always do my best. I'm never going to skip a meeting. Those things are important to me, but just can tell that I feel a little like, I don't know, I'm just don't feel as on as I used to. And I'm trying not to view that as a negative thing. I'm like, okay, clearly I need this for a second. Like, let me enjoy my friends, my horse, things like that. And I will regain that focus when I'm ready to. Where is Fee? I hope you guys are still besties. A lot of these questions, Fee is here in the office with me right now. We were just catching up on our weekends. We are 100% still besties. She just hasn't been on the show. And I feel like also hasn't been in my Instagram because, Fee is single now. She's doing her own thing. She's out there enjoying life. And I'm so happy for her. When you have a baby, what are you most excited for? It's interesting because I feel like I have friends that have babies and I see these really special moments, like waking them up in the morning and seeing them smile at you and having these experiences that just feel so much deeper. I feel like that's what I'm most excited for. But I also feel like I can't even fathom like what it's going to be like until it happens. So I'm just excited to see I don't know what it will bring. And I also feel like it's an opportunity for me to like reshape my lineage and like just heal a lot of the trauma that I have experienced in my family and kind of have a fresh start and do things the way that I wish could be done, if that makes sense. Like I think when you're the product of a family unit that just isn't like the healthiest, and just knowing what I know. Like, I'm not blaming the people I was raised by. I think that they did the absolute best they could with the knowledge they had, but I just feel like I've learned so much. And I feel like my purpose on this, and not to get super deep, but I feel like my purpose on this earth is to have a baby and do it differently and like give them the love that I have yearned for my whole life, if that makes sense. So I think not to get emotional, but like that's how strongly I feel about it. On a fertility journey, do you ever worry about how your body will change once you're pregnant? I mean, I'm curious how my body will change, but I have a pregnant friend right now who's just the most gorgeous person ever, and she looks so stunning pregnant. I'm like, oh my God, I just think bumps is so cute, and I'm sure I'll gain weight. I'm sure I'll look different. But like, no, I want this so badly and I've wanted it so long. Like, I do not care what I look like pregnant. Oh, I had a hair on my face that whole time. People and or media accounts in the self-help space that you find inspiring or motivational. I love the holistic psychologist. I think she's really good at explaining like childhood trauma and verbalizing things that maybe you don't even know how to explain yourself. Also, in terms of people, Sammy Spalter, one of my best friends, I just think she's really eloquent, and like whenever I go to her with a problem or I'm feeling down on myself, she can help me like reframe a problem and make me feel hopeful and positive about it. I just did an episode with her, by the way, on my podcast that you guys loved. We talked about our weight loss journey, so I highly recommend you guys go check that out. Have you been doing anything different in regards to working out and nutrition? You're glowing. Thank you so much. I think feeling finally like my skin is clear has been a really big thing for me. I've definitely been walking a lot, cooking. I mean, I will say I do think I've been just like, I feel good right now and I feel really positive and I'm enjoying my life. I think the past couple months were really hard for me with having to sell my horse Beau. I talked about that in another episode if you missed it. That was like a really hard thing for me to go through. Fertility, just a few things with work and like, I don't know, I was really struggling for a couple months. And I think like when you're really anxious like that, I just wasn't focused on food as much and having a hard time with my appetite. And I think a lot of you are asking me like, it looks like I've lost weight. And I think definitely the past couple months were challenging for me. And when my anxiety is high, I just don't consume as much food, if that makes sense. So just wanted to be honest about that. It's not intentional necessarily. It's just sort of a byproduct of everything I was experiencing. What are some things you're excited about coming up, looking forward to? Ooh, I would say hosting Thanksgiving is something I'm really looking forward to. We're hosting 10 people, Greg's parents and our friend Leo's family. So that's really exciting. It's our first time hosting a big holiday in our house. Actually, it's our first time celebrating holidays at all in our house because we moved in March. So yeah, we have a lot of our new furniture and I'm just like really excited to get going on that. Excited to maybe get pregnant this year, fingers crossed. Excited to keep learning on my new horse. Just, yeah, some career things I have coming up, some shifts going on really looking forward to quite a lot, actually. What was little kid Mari like? Wow, that's a fun question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. Um, Little kid Mari. I mean, I had like different versions of myself. I would say I was a very imaginative kid, always playing imaginary games, playing different characters, loved like Beanie Babies. I was always outside. Um, just like me and my sister would play imaginary games all day long. Very creative. I loved art. Um, yeah, like when I think of my childhood, it was always outside playing games and pretending to be like a different character every day. I was a pretty anxious kid. Like, I remember really having a hard time being dropped at school, always worried about doing the wrong thing. And I went through a phase of like doing things that I would try and like, this is so weird, but I would like put my hand under a table leg to try to get myself to go to the nurse because I would just be so anxious. I don't know what I was doing. But yeah, very anxious kid. Um, but at the same time, I feel like I was very well traveled thanks to my parents. Like they're both they know tons of languages. We would go to France and they would have me go into the bakeries and speak French and like a pretty like, yeah, cultured upbringing. Um, so I'd say I adapted quite quickly. Um, yeah, I can like imagine myself as a kid right now moving to New York and being like, oh my gosh, this is such a new place. And I was quite shy. I was very shy up until about college. I think that came a lot with like just being insecure about being different and moving around a lot. But yeah, I hope that answered the question. How's Austin life? Has it impacted your mental health positively since moving? 100%. I feel like I was thinking this last night because I went to a neighbor's house and had just such a cute like girls' dinner. And I was like, wow, the fact that I'm like, I know my neighbors, I have a great group of friends, this community. Every time I go to a coffee shop, I run into someone I know. Just this feeling of like in being embraced by the city almost. I just feel so much fuller. Like I feel like my life is so full. And it's funny because Austin, like, you know, if you compare it to LA, is it as beautiful? Is it as glamorous? Probably not. But I just feel so much more at peace here. And I feel like my horse life is better and just everything is so much nicer. Like the people you're around makes such a big difference, I feel. And yeah, no, I've been so happy. I think this is like my favorite place I've ever lived. This episode of Pursuit of Wellness is brought to you by Wild Grain. Fall is here, the temperatures are dropping, and it's time to start baking delicious homemade favorites. Wild Grain is here to help warm up your house with sourdough bread, fresh pasta, and artisanal pastries, including a wide array of seasonal offerings. Rumor has it they'll have a small number of apple cider donuts, so get them before they sell out. They make it so easy by doing all the hard work for you. I absolutely love wild grain. I think it's the perfect way to have quick, ready to go, fresh baked goods. If you have guests over and maybe you don't have time to make a sourdough loaf, just throw one in the oven. And I love that the ingredients are simple and whole. This fall, treat yourself and loved ones to sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries. You won't want to miss the seasonal items they have this fall. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal pastries, pastas, and breads. The boxes are fully customizable to your taste and dietary restrictions. They also have a plant-based box and a gluten-free box. Best of all, they take the hassle out of baking. It takes 25 minutes or less with no mess or cleanup. I personally love the croissants. I think it's one of the best offerings in the box. I could eat them all day long. Are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep? Be sure to check out Wild Grain so you can begin building your own box of artisanal breads, pastas, and pastries. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/pow to start your subscription. You heard me, free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/pow. That's wildgrain.com/pow or use promo code POW at checkout. Give the horse girls an update on Red and why you wanted to start barrel racing, cry face. I guess this person doesn't like barrel racing. I mean, I don't consider myself a barrel racer. That's sort of what I fell into. But I basically decided that to be honest, first of all, I started having issues with my old horse where he was kicking and bucking and just like we were not good partners for each other anymore. So that created a lot of anxiety. Like every time I went to the barn, I would end up crying and just feeling frustrated and like not even enjoying it anymore. And every time I also just started to feel really afraid of jumping. I think because I was trying to get pregnant, every time I would jump, I just like really didn't want to do it. And I would force myself to keep going and going and going because I was like, no, you have spent years perfecting this skill and this is what you've been doing. And I felt pressured to stay in it, even though I wasn't enjoying it. And then I just had a couple conversations with the trainers where I was like, just being honest. And I was like, listen, like I just have a lot of anxiety around jumping right now. And they were like, listen, this is too expensive of a sport for you to not love it. And I was like, yeah, like I was almost like pushing myself to enjoy it, even though I wasn't. And I had this fascination with Western riding. Like every time I would go to Wyoming or to a ranch, I would ride Western and just have so much more joy around it because it's so much more casual. And yeah, I'm actually really proud of myself for like doing that because I was really afraid of leaving English because I was like, I finally feel like I know how to do everything. I know how to tack up. I know how to ride. I just felt comfortable, sort of. And then, you know what? I was like, I love horses so much. This is going to be part of my life forever. I don't want to show. I don't want to jump anymore. I don't want to feel. And just truthfully, like the barn I was at was amazing, but an English barn at the size of what it was is just always judgmental and always like a weird vibe. And I was just tired of it. I was like, I don't want to feel stressed. Like this is my hobby and what I do for fun. And yeah, I just was no longer feeling like I loved it. And I've been Western riding ever since. And I can genuinely say I love it. And I feel just so much safer and like not pressured. Do you take any supplements for your hair? It's gorgeous. Thank you so much. I do have some extensions. So this is not all my hair. I actually lost a lot of hair during COVID, which was like kind of shocking. I always had pretty long, thick hair. So around that time, I started getting extensions for my wedding and things like that. And I've just sort of kept doing it. I have a very small amount in right now, but it just helps me feel a bit more confident. I feel like with hair, I take, let's see, I take glutamine, I take collagen, I take bloom colostrum, things like that. But I don't really take hair specific supplements because I'm scared biotin will break me out. I think it's just like having a really whole nutrient dense diet that really helps, honestly. Oh, by the way, speaking of bloom colostrum, had a lot of questions about when we're going to be in retail. We are now live in Target, Sam's Club, and Sprouts. So keep your eyes out when you go in person. What shampoo and conditioner do you use? I actually use the hair care from Clear Stem because I get nervous that other hair products are going to break out my face. But I've actually been experimenting with some other ones too recently, and it seems to be going well. So keep you guys posted on that. How did you heal acne scars? I would say I haven't fully healed them yet. Like in certain lighting, you can't tell at all that I have acne scarring. But then if I have like direct sunlight, you can kind of see I have like ice pick dots in my skin and some hyperpigmentation. And I did microneedling a couple weeks ago. I do chemical peels every now and again. I use products that help with scarring. So just kind of a slow and steady process. I'm also thinking about doing a CO2 laser at some point. I had a guest on the show. His name's Dr. Cameron Chestnut. You guys will hear his interview soon. But he does CO2 laser for acne scarring and he has a very natural, holistic practice. So I might actually go to him. Let's see. Would you ever have a doula on the show or maybe a homestead expert? Would love to have a doula on the show. If anyone knows of anyone in Austin, let me know because that would be so interesting. I'd have a million questions. And I would love to have a homesteading expert, someone who can talk about like how to start a little farm in your backyard. I mean, that's basically like my dream, is to have a freaking farm, you guys know. And I have lots of questions about vegetable patches because I want to start a vegetable patch, but I feel intimidated that I'm like not doing it correctly. So good idea. Are you working on new products at Bloom? 100%. I mean, I will say our sparkling energy drink has been a huge focus of ours, and it's really taking off, and it has completely changed our business. But we are working on a couple other things that we have noticed you guys are asking for. So stay tuned on that note. Some more drinks, but a completely different category. How long did it take you to get comfortable trotting and cantering? I would say I was trotting the first lesson I took. Trotting didn't intimidate me that much, and for some reason it came back quite naturally from when I was a little kid, like the rhythm of it. Cantering, I was pretty nervous to canter. I think it took me about a month to start cantering, maybe 3 weeks. And I watch back my old cantering videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? But now that I'm doing Western, it's called loping, and it's a completely different position, like the back position and everything. So I'm still learning how to be better at that. Where is your red leather top from? The girlies need to know. Love you. Oh, so sweet. Love you too. That red latex top that I wore to F1 is from Meow, the brand. I got it on Revolve. I will say, guys, the top was a hit. It looked great. Like I was really feeling myself in it. I have to give myself a pat on the back. But within a couple hours of wearing it in Austin heat, and this thing has no pores, like no breathing room. I was slippery wet with sweat underneath and so uncomfortable that I ended up having to change into a racing jersey because I couldn't wear it anymore. So just keep that in mind. How did you get started on POW? So I started the podcast January of last year. Is that correct? Yes, January of last year. And I had been on some podcasts before and just felt like, wow, I really love being on the microphone. And I feel like it gives me so much more room to give context and speak on things than social media does. And I think communicating and talking has always, even though I was a shy kid, I loved, this is going to sound weird, but in school, I was horrible at tests, but I loved presenting projects. Like I loved getting up, and I always thought maybe I'll be a TV presenter, or I don't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be some sort of like in the UK, I grew up watching Blue Peter or Kat Deely and these people. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So I had gone on a couple podcasts and I was like, wow, I really love this. And I think it also inspired me that I could bring on other experts because I'm still learning about health. I just want to learn more. And honestly, not just health. Like I just want to learn from any expert that has something to say. And I love the fact that it's not always about me. Like I think with social media, it ends up just being all about you as the creator. And it just sometimes feels icky and like self-obsessed. And I wanted to bring someone on and make it about them, if that makes sense. Like I like interviewing. So yeah, I knew it was going to be a big commitment. I don't think I realized quite how big of a commitment. Like it really is a full-time job. I'm in here recording like 5 times a week, prepping for guests. Like it never ends, but I just love it so, so much. And it grew far faster than I could have ever imagined. Like we've been in the top 5 health and wellness podcasts for months now. And I think I'm one of the only women up there, which is insane. So to be someone that can put out free information for women about health just makes me so happy. And I'm so inspired by other people in this industry who are doing it on such a bigger scale as well. So this is nice. Someone said, I just love you. Thank you for always being real and raw with your community. That's very nice. Thank you. Who is your dream guest for the show? I mean, I have to say Andrew Huberman. I think he's coming on next year. We've had an email from his team, but I would just love to have him on. I'd also love to have Andy Frisella on. I think he's coming on too. Shout out Andy if he's listening. Who else? Lane Norton. Some of the OGs that I listened to when I got into fitness, for sure. I also would like to have on Tay Che. I have to reach out to her. Thoughts on CMOS? I've just never been a sea moss girl. I mean, if you love it, go for it. I just don't really understand it and I don't really have a desire for it, honestly. Besides your skin, do you have any body insecurities? I mean, yeah, but I feel like I really am not someone who picks apart my body, honestly. Like I went through a phase of it in LA that just didn't feel like me, but I went through a phase of body checking and things like that. But I don't really have a ton of body insecurities. I say my thighs growing up were a big insecurity for me. I feel like I do hold weight in my thighs. I have pretty like muscular big legs. Like I've never been like a stick leg type person and hold a lot of weight in my thighs, but like I've kind of learned to love it and embrace it, and makes me strong in the gym. So I love that. What keeps you inspired? I feel like I am naturally a pretty driven person. I feel like I have high testosterone or something, because I do feel like I have this excitement for life and excitement to do better and better and better. I will say I do think the idea of having kids and a family really inspires me, because I want to be like a really good example for them. And I'm inspired to be the best version of myself so I can be the best mum ever, if that makes sense. Fave order from Swedish Hill. That's a coffee shop near me. Cold brew and a custom sandwich on sourdough bread. Would you ever try a half marathon or triathlon? Yes, I do think there's a world one day where I do something like that. I think a triathlon sounds really fun. I think the running community has a lot of positivity around it, and I'm really interested in that. So, yeah, I could see myself doing some sort of fitness competition at some point. Do you still have your other horse? No, unfortunately not. As I said before, he just honestly, it was so heartbreaking for me. I wanted to just keep him and make it work, but it was at the point where I couldn't even ride him because he was bucking and kicking so much, and I just felt it was unsafe. And we basically discovered that he prefers to ride with little kids. So I wanted him to have the life that he wanted. He's riding with little kids now, doing great. And I just think it wasn't the best partnership, unfortunately. So what's your opinion on IV drips? I think they can be really helpful. I used to do them a lot more in LA. But at the same time, sometimes I think they're not like the be all end all. And if you overdo it, I think that's a bit unnatural as well. Oh, someone said, what's Red's personality like? He is a big puppy, like literally a big puppy. The sweetest guy. I mean, loves trail riding, loves his food, big food guy, really chill, unfazed by everything, loves a head scratch. Just a really big cutie, honestly. I love him to death. Do you think the wellness space is becoming too complicated, especially with the many biohacks? I do feel that way, honestly. Like, I feel like having this podcast, I have learned so much, and especially about women's health and hormones and fertility and things like that. But I think the one thing I've realized is people really overcomplicate things. And I know that my show maybe can contribute to people's confusion sometimes, because they're like, oh my gosh, we're listening to all these different people. What I like to remind you guys and myself, honestly, is that we can take little tidbits from these people. Like, you don't have to take every piece of advice everyone on here is saying. It's like, if you take one lesson from one guest, that's amazing. Like, oh, maybe I should incorporate more protein, or maybe I do need to get outside more. Like, I really think the basics is what works. Like lifting weights, getting outside, drinking enough water, and getting enough protein. Like, outside of that, being with your friends and family, being present, to me, that's kind of the bread and butter of wellness. And I feel like the details, yes, it's fun to sit in front of a red light and do these extra biohacking things. And if you can make it work, great. But if not, it's okay. You know, I feel like, honestly, the deeper I've dove into the wellness world, the more I'm like obsessed with the basics of it all. Are you still drinking your greens? Yes, every single day, especially right now, honestly, because I feel like I'm just really enjoying them. And every time I miss them, I can tell. What is your supplement routine like? I feel like I need to do a whole episode of like a rundown of my supplement routine. So let me know if you want that. thoughts on creatine. We did make a bloom creatine, guys. I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out soon, but basically, after everything I've learned from the show and hearing the studies behind creatine, I went to our manufacturers and I said, I want to make a really well-sourced creatine. And Greg was like, yes, he's been dying to do this for years. So stay tuned. That's coming really, really soon. Your next big goal: to have a family, I would say. I think that's my biggest goal right now, honestly. And everything kind of comes back to that for me. Everything I'm doing, I'm like, is this in line with what I want, you know? So yeah, I think I'm going to end this solo episode here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Just a reminder to follow or subscribe, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Leave a review if you can. Let us know what you want to see next. I love you guys so much. My pal girls, my pal bros. See you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wellness podcast. To support this show, please rate and review and share with your loved ones. If you want to be reminded of new episodes, click the subscribe button on your preferred podcast or video player. You can sign up for my newsletter to receive my favorites at marilewellen.com. It will be linked in the show notes. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson, Fiona Attucks, and Kelly Kyle. This show is edited by Mike Fry, and our video is recorded by Luis Vargas. You can also watch the full video of each episode on our YouTube channel at Mari Fitness. Love you, pal girls and pal boys. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team.